Hello again and welcome to Ndudu by Fafa. You know when you try a recipe and you're not really sure about it, but in the end, it works perfectly. Number one, you become so excited. Number two, of course, you filmed the recipe already if you do film your recipes. And number three, you quickly edit it and share with your family and friends. You know what I mean? And you guys are my family and friends. So yes, today we're going to be making an instant, yes, you heard me, dry donuts, which is definitely inspired by the Ghanaian dried donuts. Naturally, I leave the list of ingredients and measurements on my blog, fafagilbert.com. And if this is your first time, you're welcome. Thank you very much for tuning in to the creative channel. If I have given you that reason to click the subscribe button, please do go ahead and do so and activate your notifications to all so you do not miss any future videos. So to start off this incredible instant dry donut recipe, you will need your self-raising flour. Now we are going to be using components of ingredients that would mimic what yeast will do. So the next thing is my Greek yogurt, which is the homemade Greek yogurt. I'd leave a link in the description box because I've covered that in a previous video so you can familiarize yourself with it. It's so easy to make. Now for some sweetness, I'm adding my homemade condensed milk. Now that's a recipe that's coming up. So yes, if you've not activated your notifications to all, you might miss that as well. So please do so. So here I'm going to be mixing everything together until it's well combined. As I mentioned, I'd leave the transcript of this recipe, including the list of ingredients and measurements, on my blog, fafagilbert.com. So do check it out. Now, this recipe was the first recipe I made and filmed, and it worked exactly. So you are exploring exactly, going through the same sort of emotion and journey that I'm going through. So at this point, I knew I could have added a little bit of milk, but I preferred the Greek yogurt because I like that natural sourness that it lends to this dish. And of course, the condensed milk as well gives it that sweetness and creaminess that it does require. Next things, I've just added a little bit of butter as well, yes. So that it just makes it also gooey, gungy, and just nice. You know what I mean? Yes. So at this point, I don't even know why I was using the gloves because it was just a sticky mess. I won't say mess. So at this point, I was like, look, stop this sketching. Nobody has sent you. Go wash your hands. Come back, add a little bit of flour and just go ahead. So this is the thing about recipes, especially when I'm creating a recipe from scratch. I look at these kind of things and I'm like, okay, if somebody's trying the recipe for the first time, this is exactly what they're going to go through, really and truly. So my recipes or like the videos as realistic as they can be for somebody who's trying it for the first time. Yes, and after your second, third, or fourth attempt, yes, you will definitely win on that front. So all I'm just trying to do is just knead it. But when I say knead it, you could just see me playing about with it. But I realized it was sticky, so I just added a little bit more flour to it. And that just looks lovely. It looks pliable, and I was happy with the texture. Now, this took about 10 minutes for me to get it to this stage. And at this point, I was like, okay, I need to activate the gluten, but I just needed to rest a little bit. Yes, I covered it with my cling film and I allowed it to rest for about 10 minutes. Now, after 10 minutes, when I came back and just tried to mix it, it was nice, smooth, and beautiful because the gluten has relaxed a bit and now it's easier for me to, activate it more. Whereby if I constantly kneaded it, then it would just take ages because it becomes tougher and tougher. So here, this is the texture that we are looking for. And it's almost like, making the Guinean fufu, when you're about to serve it. This is the process that one goes through to create that perfect ball shape. So, the things that our moms taught us, definitely they do come in handy, when one is cooking as well. And usually when you're, dividing the fufu is exactly what you do. But here we've got our dough. So now I've pressed that dough. It just looks beautiful. And now I can just shape it into that ball-like shape and allow this to do its own shenanigans, which means that it's time for me to do some frying. But until then, just let's shape these balls. So now that we've shaped our donuts, we now move into the frying aspect of it. So to my saucepan, I'm adding my vegetable oil and I'm going to heat this up on a medium heat for 5 minutes. Now, just to ensure that the oil is perfectly hot, I've just inserted it with a skewer and I can just see some bubbles forming. So I know that my oil is now ready for my donuts. Now, this is where you need to take, just be a bit delicate when you drop in the donuts into the oil. As you would tell, I transfer the donuts into the spatula and then place it in the oil. Yes, and you notice that the oil is not too hot because, of course, you don't want it to burn. It can burn quickly because it's got the presence of milk in there. Yes, but then in the middle, it might not necessarily be cooked. So it's important that you follow this process, especially if you don't have a thermometer. So you can just see it's like it's frying, but it's almost like bubbling just perfectly. It's not being ferocious with the frying at all. Now, this is going to take 7 to 8 minutes on this medium temperature and just maintain this medium temperature all the way through. So yes, at the moment you could just see that it's just like bubbling and everything beautifully because the crust is forming and it's also creating that steam within it. So the middle part of the donut is cooking beautifully. Now, I wasn't aware if this had to do with my saucepan or not, but I noticed that, after about 4 minutes of frying, it wasn't rising. So I was a little bit concerned. So I did insert the skewer and then noticed that it was stuck to the bottom of my saucepan. So it could be my saucepan. And maybe next time I'll just use a non-stick one and that might just make it easier. So with the help of the skewer, I was able to dislodge the donuts from the bottom of the saucepan. And now it's on the surface, bubbling away like, Biz Goody Two Shoes. But yeah, I think at this point I was like, you know what? There is a space for another donut. So let me just drop one in because, yeah, and let me just see if that would actually rise straight up or, just to ensure that if it's my saucepan or if it is the recipe itself, that's what it does. So you notice that I've just done that and yeah, at this point, this entire thing has been frying for about 6 minutes. I've got 2 more minutes of it, and then I need to get rid of the first batch. That one looks good. So yeah, look at that crustiness around it. It's just beautiful. Yeah, and let's check that one. Yes, I also got that perfect round shape as well. Have you noticed that the second one, it just came up just like that without me dislodging it? Exactly. So, yeah, it could just be the fact that because it was the first batch and I placed it in and the oil wasn't that hot, that would have caused it. But let's see if that, principle still holds after me added this next batch to it. Because it might just be my saucepan or it might not be. What do you think? Leave your comments below. Yes. Any suggestions? Any ideas? Be happy to share because this is me creating a recipe from scratch. Look, I had to dislodge it again. So I hope this information would help you. So if you like trying any of the recipes and it comes when when it comes to like recipes such as these, because I'm using different components that ideally shouldn't really work but does. Yeah, so you will have those little hiccups here and there, but doesn't necessarily mean that you can't do it. Yeah, just keep practicing and you'll be good to go. So here in my case, it all worked perfectly in the end. Just had to dislodge some few things here and there. And is that not life? Now let's watch this. Let's see this. Hey, This is not any other food. Oh. Look how soft this is. And the skin is crunchy and it's got that gungy sort of look about it. It's soft, it's moist. Ah, Charlie. Leave your comments below. Are you inspired to try this? Yeah. And have I given you that reason to click the subscribe button? Share with your family and friends? Yes. And activate your notifications also you do not miss any future videos. I'm enjoying myself. Oh, hot Bofrot. Okay, really. And yes, I know. I just had to, add a little bit of my homemade condensed milk because yeah, I love that. And guess what I did? Yeah, I just needed that little sugar rush, the sweetness. Yes, enubude. Yanuma vivinam la. I know. I don't think I'm saying this right, but anyway, you get the gist. When you do try the recipe, please don't forget to tag me, yes, on my socials, and I'll be able to share that as well. Thank you ever so much. Now, you will find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Snapchat as Ndudu by Fafa. So pass by and say hi. Now, I always say thank you to Nurel for my theme songs. He is absolutely incredible. And until my next video, you take care of you. Be nice, be beautiful, be gorgeous. And guess what? I love you for you. Thank you very much for watching.